Welcome to N.Rajini Kiranmai YouTube channel. In this video, I am going to explain about CSS selectors, cascading style sheet selectors. Now, let me explain what is a selector. Selector is the heart and soul of CSS. It is going to play a major role in cascading style sheet. The selector defines which HTML element you are going to manipulate using CSS code. There are three types of selectors. The first one is HTML selector, second one class selector, third one ID selector. Now let us look at HTML selector. This HTML selector is going to define the styles of HTML tags with redefining those HTML tags. Let us look to the syntax over here. The syntax goes this way. So here we are going to write HTML tag, braces begin, and within the begin and braces, you are going to specify the property and you are going to assign the value to the property by separating them with a colon. And finally, you are going to end with a semicolon. So here I have presented one simple example where I have used the HTML tag called H1, heading tag. And for this HTML tag, I am defining the styles like color. I am assigning the value as red. So I have used the property called color and I am given the value for that color property as red. And secondly, the property I have used is font size. And the value I have assigned to that font size property is 44. So this example specifies that we are defining the styles of the HTML tag called H1 by redefining them. Now let us look how it works. So to do so, I have taken a new notepad and started writing the code and defining the styles for the HTML tag, and I have defined the style saying the color as red and font size as 44, and I'm saving this file with the name called xyz.css extension. Give any name, but the extension should be .css. Now again we go for a new notepad and there we start writing the code. So in order to call this style to my current HTML document, I am using a link tag where this link tag should be described or defined within the head section. So in the link tag, I have provided three attributes, that is relation, and I have specified it is a style sheet, and I have specified the type attribute with a value called text or CSS, and here hyperreference, I am giving the file name called xyz.css, the file name where we defined the styles and saved it as xyz.css. This file I am linking to my HTML document through this link tag where I am writing this link tag within the head section. And now I am using a body tag, and within this body tag I am using a HTML tag, and within this H1 HTML tag, I wrote I am in e-com and web design class. So this text, whatever I have written that is within H1 tag, should be displayed with a font size of 44 and then it should be displayed in a red color. So after that I save this file with a name called a.html because it is a HTML document, and when I am browsing this file in the browser, the output I am going to get this way. So here I have presented, see, I am in e-commerce web design class where this is the text that is kept in between H1 tag, and I have defined the H1 tag style as a color with a red and font size as 44. So this is the usage of HTML selector. Now let me move to the second selector, that is class selector. And this class selector is going to define the styles of the HTML tag without redefining them. I'm not going to disturb the tag, but instead I use a class name where the syntax goes this way. The class name should start with a dot indicating that it is a class, a selector, and within the begin and braces I'm specifying the properties, and there should be a colon and then the value should be assigned over here. Example goes this way. I have used a class name called Vasu, and I started this name with a dot saying that this is a class, a selector, and I have defined the style so here saying the color should be red. So let me implement this class selector. For that, I am using the external CSS. For that reason, I am going for a new notepad. I am writing this code with a class name, class selector description, and I am saving this file with xyz.css. This is an external cascading style sheet. And to use this particular file, again, I am using the link tag and I am linking with href xyz.css, where this link tag is placed in between the head section. And see here, I have to use this class. So in h1 tag, I have used the attribute called class and I gave the class name as Vasu. So this is the class name I have used in xyz.css. I wanted to use this to my h1 tag. And I wrote this, I am in e-commerce and web design class. Now, when I execute this file, I should get the output with a font size 44 and the color should be blue. Why? Because in external cascading style sheet.xyz.css, I defined a class selector with the styles saying the color should be blue, and that's the reason why I got the output as blue color, where I have imported that class to my h1 tag, and that is the reason why the text that is embedded within this h1 tag is displayed in blue color with font size 44. Now let us move to the third selector, that is ID selector. So ID selector is also going to define the styles, but this is going to define the styles relating to an object with a unique ID. Most often we use this ID selectors for the layers, and the syntax goes this way: hash ID. Hash indicates that this is an ID selector and you can give the ID name. And within the begin and braces, we specify the property separated with a colon and value. So the example goes this way. See here, hash and ID name I gave as Vasu. And within that, we have defined the property and the value. To implement this, see here in a new notepad, we are going to write the following code and we are going to save the file as xyz.css. See here, I used hash and the name for the ID I have used Vasu, and within the begin and braces I said the color should be brown. Now I have saved it with xyz.css. Now I go for the new notepad and I am going to write this following code and I am going to save it as a.html. Why? Because I am dealing with HTML document. So to link up my external CSS to my HTML document, within the head section, I wrote the link tag and I'm linking the file within the href attribute xyz.css. Now see here, same for the h1 tag. I have used the attribute called ID is equal to the ID name what I have used in xyz.css is Vasu. That's the reason why I wrote the name as Vasu over here. And I wrote some text. Close the head tag, close the body tag, and close the HTML tag. I saved this with a.html. Once I execute this file, the text that is within this h1 tag is going to be displayed in a brown color. Why? Because the style I have described saying that the color should be brown, and that's the reason why the text got displayed in brown color, and the font size I have specified it as 44, and that's the reason why the font size displayed over here is in 44. So this are the three selectors: HTML selector, class selector, ID selector. I defined the syntax, I defined the example, and I have shown how these selectors can be implemented in HTML document. Thank you for watching this video.